had the founder of acdirect.com, Michael Haines, on the show today. He started this company back when the internet was just getting started. He has so much information. He's a great entrepreneur. You will learn a lot listening to him. Please like and subscribe. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Hole in the Wall Business Podcast with Bill and James. I'm James Groves, and along with my business partner, Bill Dement, we want to share our journey as small business owners with you. As owners of Hole in the Wall Drywall Repair, we will attempt to peel back the curtain of owning a small business in the trade service industry and talk about the many adventures of owning a small business. Hey, Bill.
Hey, what a great day. Another podcast coming down the pipe.
I know, right? We just celebrated our 100th. This is 101. Pretty exciting.
Oh, this is going to be 101.
101.
Okay,
101.
gotcha.
Almost 2 years into this podcast. So.
Hey, I want to give you a quick preview of this guest that we have today.
Yeah.
You know what? Once in a while, just out there bumping around in the cosmos, you just run into the neatest people. And I wasn't looking to meet this guest specifically, but a mutual friend says, well, hey, I got this guy. And we had lunch one day and sat down and talked for an hour. And I thought, man, this is an interesting guy. And I hit him up that day. Would you be interested in being on the podcast? So let's go ahead and bring him in, James, and let's share him with everybody.
Well, Michael Haines, the founder of AC Direct, welcome.
Thank you.
Michael, you've been an entrepreneur for many, many years, and we just can't wait to kind of hear your story and just kind of how you founded AC Direct and just some of the successes you've had. And I'm kind of glad that we were able to, again, I like to bump around in the ether, find some smart people.
Yeah.
We said off air a little bit, we like hanging out with smart people. We learn from people. We obviously don't know everything. Pleased to meet you. So
Pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Why don't
very
you just
much. Nice to be here.
let my audience know kind of who you are and what you do.
Well, my name's Michael Haines, and I'm the founder of a company called AC Direct, which I started back in 2001, which was the wild, wild west when it came to the internet days, because that's back when Google was a number and Amazon was a bookstore.
Right.
So it wasn't really a whole lot going on with e-commerce wise. So I started in 2001. I had no white papers to look at, no consultants to hire. We had to learn everything on our own, which was you put one of those things called a website up, and you do something called search engine optimization on something that had a bunch of insects. It was like the web or something. I don't know what the heck that was. But it was an interesting path because I knew absolutely nothing about it. So it was like, okay, this is going to be a whole new journey that I'm not going to learn just about business, but I'm going to learn about this thing called the internet and this, wherever it's going to go. I don't know that I can say I knew where it was going to go, but I had a feeling that it was something I wanted to be involved in because I could see that the big companies were doing it. Amazon was, like I said, a bookstore at the time, but Jeff Bezos was doing some groundbreaking things, and I wanted to be involved in that. So I got a URL, acdirect.com, bought that URL, built a website. My first web developer didn't think that I should put a shopping cart on the website because he didn't think people were going to put $2,000 and $3,000 air conditioning systems in a shopping cart. He said, no, they're going to call you an order. I said, no, I disagree with you on that. Turned out I was right.
Yeah.
Because that was the smartest thing we did. Built that website, and within just a couple of years, actually the very first thing we did was go on a website called eBay. I found a magazine called Women's World Magazine at my girlfriend's at the time's house. And in that magazine, there was a woman making $400 a week on a website called eBay. And I thought, what the heck is that? So I went and checked it out. And I thought, well, what can I sell on eBay? I said, wait a minute, I'm in the air conditioning business. But no, you can't sell air conditioning systems on the internet. Nobody's doing it. It must be illegal or something.
Right.
Well, I did a bunch of research. Turned out it was not illegal, just nobody was doing it. So I listed just to test it. I tested it on eBay before I put all this money into the website and the company and all that. Did $30,000 in sales my first week on eBay. And originally when I first started, I had to list my air conditioning systems under home and garden miscellaneous. After I did that $30,000 week, they came up with home and garden heating and cooling. So they made a category for me. Had no competition at the time. Had the whole thing completely to myself. Well, inevitably, I started getting some competition on eBay. People started selling products on eBay that were related to heating and air conditioning. So I thought, okay, I'm going to have competition. So then I said, all right, I got to build one of those things called a website. So I built a website. And next thing I knew, within just a few years, we were doing millions of dollars a year in sales. Through shopping cart, we were shipping the systems all over the country. The interesting part here was that it was a completely disruptive thing in the air conditioning business because I was selling heating and air conditioning systems outside the boundaries that the industry had established. The boundaries being you have a wholesaler that works in Orlando. He sells to the local contractors. He honors those warranties. But when someone ships it into his area from another part of the country, he doesn't want to honor the warranty. So the manufacturer would serve me with cease and desist, and I got several death threats from contractors. They would send me emails or they would leave me a voicemail. One said, "I know where you live and I'm on my way over there right now." I didn't take it seriously. But it was very scary to the business, which told me I was onto something because they realized that they had some competition. As I heard from my Train rep one time, Train's an air conditioning manufacturer. He said I was at a national dealer meeting and the person running the meeting put up on the screen, he says, "You think you have competition now? Well, here's your next competition." He put the AC Direct website up there and everybody started moaning and because they'd heard of it. And he was laughing. My Train rep was laughing because he and I were friends. So he had to leave the room because he thought it was funny. But I knew when he told me that the manufacturers knew that this was going to be something they're going to have to adapt to. And the only one that did really adapt was Goodman. That's who I deal with a lot now. They accepted the e-commerce thing and supported me. Everybody else, Train, Carrier, a lot of the other brands didn't want anything to do with it. And to this day, some of them don't want anything to do with it. But there's a whole industry doing what I do now. So it's changed the way that the industry operates. And they have what they call e-commerce distribution centers. It took them 10, 15 years to catch on, but it's been quite a journey.
So, I mean, obviously there's a savings involved because you're not having to pay all the middlemen along the way, right? So would the homeowner buy direct from you?
Yes. What happens is they get a quote from a contractor. The local quote will include installation, parts, and equipment. So let's say that quote is $8,000. Just making a number up. That's pretty realistic though. They can buy that system from me for probably about $3,000 and then have it installed for anywhere around $2,000, $2,500. So typically they're going to save anywhere from 30 to 60%, depending on what market they're in. The only thing is they have to be comfortable getting their hands dirty because they're going to have to pick the system out, receive it when it comes on a truck, unload it, and then have someone install it for them. So if they really want to save money and they don't mind, if they're the type of person that will install a water heater themselves, if their water heater breaks down, they go to Home Depot and buy one, they're our perfect client. We also have a lot of contractors that buy from us because our prices now, because we buy so much, are so low that we're lower than a lot of the wholesalers that they're buying from. So we're actually going after the commercial division now too, because we're getting a lot of apartment complexes and contractors and GCs and things buying from us. So the whole market has expanded dramatically.
And you're not storing any of these ACs. You never put hands on them, right?
Yeah, we don't have to put much markup on it at all because we have no inventory. The manufacturers ship for me. They ship for us all across the country from different distribution centers. Shipping costs are very, very low. And the shipping is always free for our consumers. So we try to make it as simple as possible when they're on the website. They can just go to the website, pick out what system they need. For example, a 3-ton, 14-SEER split system, heat pump. That's what they need. So they buy that, and then we ship it for free, and then they have it put in. They have it installed. And we get reviews all the time from people telling us how much money they saved and how of a smooth process. Because in a lot of markets, it's tough to even get these guys to show up and give you a bid. Yeah. You'll set 3 appointments, and 1 or 2 of them won't even show up. Mm-hmm. So it's very frustrating for the consumers, and we try to take a lot of that frustration out of the equation.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat when you think about 2001. For me, does not seem that long ago. Right. I mean, I graduated in 90. I know you were probably in the 1800s. And so we have, so 2001 really just seemed I've got vehicles that are, I got my Jeep's 07. I mean, it's still brand new practically. And to think that back then we just were scratching the tip of the iceberg on the internet. I mean, the fact that Bezos hadn't launched Amazon yet, you were on eBay, which was one of the early adopters. To kind of learn from, we have the benefit of having that now. I got people that are experts in all this stuff. You didn't have any of that back then. That's kind of cool.
No. So what kind of a learning curve was there that early in the game with internet selling?
It was one of those things where you just learn it. It's like stepping onto a tennis court with no lessons at all and just learning how to play tennis. You have to learn.
But nobody else was very good at tennis at that point either.
Yeah, nobody was very good at it either. So the people that claimed to be experts weren't. And there was no white papers. There was nothing to study. So I started hearing rumors and things about how to do search engine optimization, what they called keyword stuffing, trying to get Google to crawl your website by putting the keyword on there 1,000 times. And we thought that worked. And back then it might have. But you learned everything the hard way, which is what I like because I had to learn about Google Ads. I had to learn about social media once it popped up. Google Ads came along in the fall of 2002, just after I started my company. So we didn't know how to do search engine optimization or get our website ranked organically yet. So this was a godsend because now we could buy traffic. We could buy the keywords we wanted, like Goodman heat pump, Goodman 3-ton heat pump. The keywords that I wanted that my customers were searching for, I was able to buy and be number one or number two, not organically, but for paid ads on Google. So I was like, thank you. It came along just at the perfect time. So I said, yes, this is getting better and better.
So one of the things, you kind of skipped over it, but I found amazing, was that you weren't even an AC guy. You were in the industry, I think, prior to this, but I was a retail salesman.
I worked for a couple of companies here in town. When a homeowner needed a new air conditioning system for their home, they would call these companies, and I would be one of the salesmen. They would go out there, help them to pick the system and close a sale, and then turn it in and get it installed. So that was my experience in the business. I went and got my license. Once I started AC Direct, I had to get my license because to buy from wholesalers, you had to be licensed.
Okay.
So I got my contractor's license, HVAC license in 2001, just so I could buy it wholesale.
But that job you had gave you the seat,
yes,
to be able to observe what was going on and identify the opportunity, right?
Correct. Yep. I was in a position to where I was like, okay, I want to do something on this site called eBay. I didn't know what to sell yet, though. Well, I'll tell you what I did do. I went to a store called Tuesday Morning. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. Yeah. I would go in there and buy 600 thread count Egyptian cotton sheets for $125. I would turn around and sell them on eBay for $250. And I would buy all that I could find here in Orlando. I completely bought out all the sheets in Orlando. So then I rented a U-Haul and went through the entire state of Florida. And I would walk in. Today it's kind of like a dream. So I would walk into a Tuesday morning and I'd see 40 600 thread count sheets, and it looked like money to me. And I would buy all of them, put them in my trailer, and I bought out Florida. So then we went to the Southeast United States and started going up to other states and buying them out and cleaning those stores out. So I realized, okay, this isn't sustainable. I've got to sell something else. And that's when I started thinking about the air conditioning equipment. But when I went online, nobody was selling it. I thought that was weird because refrigerant is controlled by the EPA. That's the only thing that's really controlled is the refrigerant. But I'm not selling refrigerant. Refrigerant's already in the system. So I think contractors thought because it contained refrigerant, you can't sell it online or to a homeowner. But you can buy a window unit, you can buy a refrigerator, you can buy a refrigerator or freezer. They all have refrigerant in them.
Mm-hmm. True.
So I went and looked at the EPA rules. There were no rules that said you can't sell a refrigerant charged system to an end user. They can't open the system or put refrigerant in it, but they can buy the equipment. So I started doing millions of dollars within just a couple of years.
Wow. And so how many iterations of that website have you had to have over the years?
Oh, we've had to update it. You have to update your website every 5 years. And then in the meantime, you're completely updating new products and promotions and color schemes and all sorts of different things. So it's something you do continually.
So at your peak, how many people were running that business with you?
It doesn't take a lot. There's right now we have 12, 15 employees.
Really?
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot because that's why our overhead is so low. Mm-hmm. And that's why we're able to sell at the prices we sell at because we don't have to put a lot of markup on it. And I can respect a contractor that he has a lot of stuff he has to handle. He's got vehicles, insurance, employees. He's got a lot going on. So he's going to charge more. He has to. And he's also going to be hands-on because he's going to be there installing it for you and warranting it and all that kind of thing. So we're for the person who is ready to step around that because either A, they've had a bad experience with contractors, or B, they just want to save some money.
Right.
So I'm curious, once you got AC Direct going and your website up and you're doing business, how long did it take before the competition discovered what you were doing?
My first competitor came along in the spring of 2005. And yes, I know that because I remember when they hit, I was like, what's going on here? Cheaters.
Cheaters.
So yes, now there's an entire industry that does it. But I would say there's probably 75, 80 companies that sell online. And they're selling parts. Some companies are selling parts. Some are selling systems. Some do both. But I think once they realized that it was not illegal and everybody could see where the internet was going, 5 or 6 years later, everybody started jumping on board. But it hasn't affected us at all because I was scared of Home Depot and Lowe's. Yeah. I remember telling my team, I said, when Home Depot and Lowe's start selling this stuff, we're done. Because why would anybody buy from us when they buy from Home Depot or Lowe's? But the thing is, it still comes down to organic rankings, and the fact that we're 23 years old now and we're an HVAC wholesaler gives us some extreme credibility. And we just signed up as a NASCAR sponsor, Car 35, Greg Van Alst. So that's kind of fun too.
Oh, that is fun.
Yeah.
Wow. We have NASCAR royalty in the house.
Yes.
Yeah. Very cool. So At your peak, at the top, what year was that?
At the peak.
I mean, are you still growing now?
Oh yeah, we're growing from right now. Sales are much better than they've ever been.
Oh, really?
Yeah, our increases right now, year over year, are just ridiculous.
So, at what point did you realize that you wanted to do something extra, something different? Because you're the founder of the company,
Right?
But remember, if I'm correct, you don't own the company currently.
No, I sold it.
You sold the company. What year was that?
That was I sold it in 2012.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what led up to that sale?
I was ready for something different. As an entrepreneur, I always had a period where I was patient, and then I would get impatient and want something else to do. So that period was typically 5 to 10 years. That was a mistake. Looking back on it now, selling it was a mistake because it's got tremendous potential. It can still grow even better than it has. But I'm back with the company as a consultant and an equity position in the company. But it's just fun for me because it's something that, I don't mean to brag here, but I'm good at it. I love detail, and I love looking into things that my competitors won't, such as search engine optimization. It's such detailed stuff that my competitors won't pay the time and attention to it that it needs, and I don't mind doing it.
Yeah.
I love doing it, actually. So I just found out it was a good fit for my personality.
So instead of like hiring an SEO company, you're tackling those things yourself.
I tried that over the years, and it's very difficult. I will tell you right now, if you're a business owner and you're hiring an SEO firm, be very, very careful.
Yeah.
Because about 90% of them have really no clue what they're doing. They've learned in a classroom. They have very little experience, and they'll tell you they know what they're doing, but it's careful. It's a tough world, so you have to be very careful when you hire. So I learned it myself. I don't do everything now because there's a lot too much to do. We have social media, we have search engine optimization, we have paid ads. So I supervise it. I keep an eye on it. And I know when I see somebody, when I talk to them, I can tell if they're good or not because I know what questions to ask them and I know what their answers are. And I say, okay, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And I know whether they're telling me the truth or not. So I'm pretty good at selecting someone good, which we have working for us. But we all work kind of in collaboration because they don't know the air conditioning business and I do. So in marketing, you have to know marketing and the industry. So those two kind of dovetail together hand in hand, and I help them with the industry part.
Yeah, I was curious because SEO really is also, it's not one size fits all for every industry. You have to know your specific market, your industry.
And it's an ever-changing landscape.
Yeah.
I mean, the rules that apply today, 6 months from now, may be completely different.
Yeah, that's true. The fundamentals I found change very, very infrequently. You'll hear about these updates where people get what they call slapped by Google and they lose their rankings. That's never happened to me. And the only time I think it happens is if you're not following the rules and you're getting lazy, like you're putting content up that's poorly written. Because Google looks at content. They pay attention to these kind of things. And it used to be that people would just write content and put it up there and just say, okay, well, that's pretty good. But no, they want to see proper sentence structure, that it makes sense, that it's informative, and that you're doing everything the way you should. And if your website is sloppy, A, in its appearance, and B, in its message, Google may give you what I'm going to call a slap and knock you out of the rankings. So as long as you're doing everything where you're thinking about your viewer and not your company, you're not trying to do what's best for you, you're trying to do what's best for a consumer, I think Google's pretty good at telling the difference.
Interesting. So what's next? What's next for the AC industry? Is there anything that's popping off evolution-wise that's going to be changing things around the world?
Nothing major. We're going through another refrigerant change. That's going to be happening in the first of the year, but that's just an industry thing. It doesn't affect the homeowners really much at all. But I kind of keep an eye out for changes that I see coming along that would be wholesale, that might affect contractors or my business or anything else. But I don't see anything huge coming along other than the internet is having a bigger and bigger impact. So I have to keep adapting. And the contractors out there that are still poo-pooing the internet they're just not really thinking. Because otherwise you're going to become, who was a video store that went out of business?
Oh, Blockbuster.
Blockbuster. Yeah, they just didn't keep up when Netflix came along. They just didn't keep up. So you have to adapt to the current environment. And I think if you're not adapting to the internet, then you're going to be somewhere at some point you're not going to make it.
Did you know that there are over 140 million homes in the U.S.? 97% of them have walls and ceilings that are built using drywall. The drywall repair industry is simply enormous, valued at over $13 billion a year. We're hole-in-the-wall drywall repair, and for years we have been perfecting the art of repairing drywall. developing and refining our systems, and strengthening our brand. Our business model is simple, scalable, and easy to learn. We believe it's a real game changer. We are successful drywall repair pros who decided to take our repair business to a higher level, growing both our franchise training and support to industry-leading standards. You'll benefit from our vast experience helping your franchise hit the ground running and achieve success quickly. We'll give you access to our marketing team that has created strategic programs designed to get your phone ringing and booking new business fast. Join a fast-growing leader in an exciting dynamic segment of the home service industry by franchising with hole-in-the-wall drywall repair. Start building your own business and securing your own financial future today.
I'm curious, I know you talk a lot about Google, but do you use other social media platforms for sales?
Yes, we have very good results on social media. We use Facebook, X, Instagram, some TikTok, and they have very high, what I'm going to call ROAS, ROAS, return on ad spend. You can get a very, very good return on ad spend if you know how to do social media properly, which is what they call the right creatives. You got to have creatives, you got to have images and graphics that catch people's attention as they're scrolling through their feed. Then you've got to have what I'm going to call a direct call to action. You've got to have an offer in there that says, here's why you want to choose us, here's the benefit, and here's how it's going to work. And you got to say that in about 30 words. So you have to be very creative and punchy in your headlines, and you've got to get people's attention quickly. And then when they go to your page, when they click your ad, they have to go to a page. And this is going to sound like common sense, but it's not. I see it all the time. When they click your ad, they need to go to a page that conveys the exact same message they just saw in your social ad. You can't take them somewhere where they're like, okay, where am I now? Where'd that message go? I want to see you need a direct correlation between the message that you got their attention with and the message they see on the page, the landing page that they click on.
Yeah, it's really insightful, Michael.
Yeah. Are you using any AI technology?
We're for writing blogs. Yeah, we're using that and getting more and more involved because AI is going to take over the world.
Right.
It's the next internet, no question.
And so so as part of your website, you mentioned blogs. Are you using that as also part of your SEO, making sure you have content?
Not yet.
Okay.
No, we haven't figured out how to use SEO yet. I see some companies talking about it, and it's something I'll do after I do my psychotic research because I don't believe anybody when they say things. So I have to go check it out myself and confirm it, which you can confirm it when you have a website like mine that gets, 1 million visitors a year or more. You can test things pretty easily. You can have one page where you try one thing and try the opposite on another page and see what happens with your conversions, your click-through rates, and all the things that are going on the website. You can tell if what you just changed worked or not.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, you have to have had some struggles. Maybe there was something that stuck out that, I wish I never had thought about that, or I never would have done that. Thinking of my audience, the entrepreneur who may not or has a small business now, what might be a landmine that they can avoid that you maybe made that mistake?
Your website. When you build a website, the last thing you want to do is shop price. And you hear that with everything. People say you get what you pay for. I will tell you that I have found very little correlation between contractors and price. I see contractors that charge a small fortune that don't do a very good job. I've seen contractors that don't charge much at all and they do excellent work. So to me, it's like this is one rarity that you want to get a website that is built by someone who knows how to build a business, not just a website. Because the main thing about a good, well-done website is the content and the offers. I always follow a copywriting principle called the AIDA principle, AIDA, attention, interest, desire, and action. You've got to fulfill all 4 of those steps when you're writing a message to somebody, whether it be a TV ad, newspaper ad, website landing page. You've got to get their attention, create interest, build desire, and then have a very clear and direct call to action. Tell them what to do. Don't be confusing in your call to action where you give them 3 choices, give them 1 choice on what to do next. And when you do that, your conversions, as they're known, when someone does what you ask them to do, we call that a conversion on the internet, will skyrocket.
Nice. That's really good advice. I never heard you wrote it down, right, Bill?
Yeah, AIDA.
AIDA, very good. So what's one of those successes? I mean, obviously, I think the eBay thing, finding that early was a huge success. And people just don't realize how, if you're young, if you're in the younger world, you don't realize how all of those things got created and how the whole landscape changed. I mean,
sure,
they barely know what a flip phone is, and here we know what pages are.
Right.
So moving forward, though, is there one thing that really kind of helped you launch the next level that you can kind of pinpoint that this is the one thing that happened. You mentioned with the eBay thing, I think that was probably a big one really, really early on. But is there anything else?
eBay was the first milestone. The second milestone that I can point to that really changed the business was when Google Ads came out. They were called AdWords back then. Now they're called Google Ads. But that allowed me to take advantage of search traffic by buying an ad that would correlate if someone typed in 3-ton air conditioning system. I could buy that keyword and have my ad show up for it. They would click and come to my website. So that was a huge game changer.
Right.
The other game changer too was when the manufacturers started figuring out that this internet thing wasn't going anywhere, and they decided they would drop ship for us. Because I used to have to bring everything in house, put it in my warehouse, huge warehouse, forklifts, trucks would have to come in with the tailgate lift gates and all that sort of thing. That was a lot of work.
Yeah.
And it was sustainable. I could have kept doing it, but it was more expensive, to be quite honest. But once the manufacturers called on and said, okay, we're going to build e-commerce centers around the country and we're going to ship these systems for you. And they actually started competing for my business a little bit. Rather than pushing me away, they started competing it for a little bit. So that was the next biggest milestone.
And you, I'm sorry, but you were able at that point to ship virtually anywhere in the U.S. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Drop shipping FOB is crazy.
Yep.
So obviously as a new internet launcher, how important is reading the Google Analytics to you? I mean, just knowing even finding which keywords people are searching for. Is that something you had to learn that on your own, right?
Yeah, Google Analytics is extremely important. And there's videos you can watch. If you're a website owner and you have a website, one of the last things you want to do is delve into the technicalities of that. But I'm just going to give you a piece of advice. Even if it's against your nature, I would learn it. You don't have to be an expert. You can hire somebody to do Google Analytics for you, but you need to know the basics of what's important there so that what they're telling you, you can say, okay, does that really mean anything to me? And Google Analytics will allow you to see your demographics, the people that are coming to your website, and what keywords they're clicking on, which landing pages are working, which products are selling the best. It gives you a lot of information that you as a business owner desperately need to know, whether you know it or not, that you need to know it, but you desperately need to know this information to be able to tell the people that work for you on your website what they need to do next. Because again, they're going to be able to look at it and tell these things. They can tell this stuff, but you're in the business. You know which of your products are more profitable. I have products on my website that I don't really want to sell because they're not that profitable, but we put them up there because they sell. So my analytics person wouldn't know the difference, and I do. So this is, as a business owner, I would get involved in Google Analytics.
Yeah, and they're out there. They're attached to your website, and so they're kind of a free tool that they give you.
It is, yeah.
As a business owner, it's one of those things that my eyes glaze over a little bit. When I look, I don't know what I'm looking at. There's so many charts and graphs and demographics. It's like I need to hire someone to do this.
Yep.
So quickly, I know Google is key, but how important is other search engine like Bing and DuckDuckGo or any of these other ones?
Yahoo, is that still around even?
Yeah, Bing and Yahoo, depending on who you listen to, because again, this is one of those things in the internet where you're going to get different opinions, but Bing is roughly 10% of the total traffic and Yahoo is probably about the same. That number changes a lot. So they seem insignificant, but they're not. If you optimize your website for Google, you're probably going to be optimized for Bing and Yahoo. You're be in a different position. You could be on page 1, position 3 for a particular keyword on Google and be on the second page of Bing or Yahoo. I don't really try to optimize for Bing or Yahoo. I just optimize for Google and what's the word I'm looking for? Let
the chips fall where they may.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let the chips fall where they may on the other sites.
Well, one of the things that I learned a little bit ago is obviously Google uses Google reviews to help your analytics and move you up in the organic searching. And those aren't available on Bing or Yahoo. But what are available are other platforms that people are reviewing you on. So like if we're on Home Advisor or Angie's List, for us, we're home services.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, my Yelp reviews show up on Bing. My Facebook reviews show up on Bing. But none of my Google reviews, we just celebrated our 500th Google review. None of those reviews will show up on Yahoo or Bing. But because we are everywhere, all those other reviews pop up. All of our other website stuff still rank. I was just curious. It was one of those things one of my marketing friends told me about years ago is just don't forget. Don't put all your eggs in the Google basket. So that's why we incentivize our employees when they get reviews, whether it's on Google or whether it's on another platform, because all those other platforms help rank me.
Yeah. I like Trustpilot too.
Yeah.
They're strong.
It's Trustpilot. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah.
Is that a search?
It's a review site.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a vetted review site where the reviews are very carefully put up there. There's very few fake ones. So when I see reviews on Trustpilot, I trust them.
Very cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've seen Trustpilot for reviews.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that was.
And Google reviews too. You can trust Google reviews too.
Yeah.
To a certain degree. Yeah.
And so for your AC Direct, how important are the reviews to you?
Extremely important, because people use those as a boundary as to whether or not they're going to hire you or use you as a company. And I would tell you too, as a business owner, that anytime you can comment on a review, if you get a Google review, to thank them for it, comment on it. If they give you a negative review, the last thing you want to do is get on there and give them an argument. Tell them how wrong they are, and you're this and that, and we didn't do this. What you want to do is say, we're very sorry we didn't live up to the high standards we set for ourselves. Please call us and ask for such and such, and we will fix this for you.
Yeah.
And then ask them for a better review, and that review after you fix the problem. But I see companies get on there and deny everything, and you don't want to make that your platform.
No, you don't want to get in a fight with a customer out in public.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the audience, although people can be silly sometimes, but they're not stupid. I mean, we've had people call. We've got a couple bad reviews on our website, and the guys, you guys got great reviews, except for those idiots out there, because people,
A couple of sore heads.
they're not
going to be made happy no matter what.
Right.
We had one review from somebody that didn't like the enchiladas or something, the food. Like, we're not thinking you got the right hole in the wall.
That sandwich was not very good. We had a guy one time call up. He just called up the front office, and actually I answered the phone, and he asked, "So how much does it cost per sheet?" It's Drywall comes in 4x8 sheets or whatever. He said, well, and so a lot of the installers will charge by the sheet. Well, that's not our platform. We're repairs. We do it by the repair, not the sheet. He said, well, just give me your sheet number. I'm like, and so very forceful. I said, it was going to cost you X number of dollars. If you want us to just do one sheet in the wall, that's our price. He says, that's ridiculous. And he hangs up the phone on me. And then 5 minutes later, I got a 1-star review from that guy. These guys are so expensive.
Because he didn't like our prices.
Yeah.
We never did one bit of work for him.
Yeah.
So
you're supposed to be a customer before you can leave a review, but
Yeah. Well, there's no
I know.
way to verify that, I guess, sometimes.
Right.
Cool. Well, Michael, is there any other words of wisdom, some knowledge that you want to drop on us before we let you go?
I would say that just based on my experience, if you're an entrepreneur and you're considering starting a business, and you feel like you have that personality type, because not everybody has a personality type to be an entrepreneur. Some of us are someone who is looking for that secure salary, and that's fine. Other people love the risk, and they're willing to take the chances. If you've decided that you're that person, I discovered when I started AC Direct that anybody can do anything they put their mind to. Because with AC Direct, there was a bunch of luck involved, but it was an industry that didn't even exist, basically. And I look back on that now and I say, okay, that was the smartest thing I've done. And at the same time, I made a ton of mistakes, but yet it was still successful. So I would say, don't fear. We have fear of failure and desire for success as our goals. Some people have greater leanings toward the fear of failure. Other people have greater leanings toward the desire for success. I would say try to lean toward the desire for success, because we're going to fail. We fail our way to success.
Right.
We fail did I say that right? We fail our way to success.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you're going to make mistakes. Plan on them. Count on them, because they're going to be there. But if you have that entrepreneur personality, go for it.
Yeah. It's really insightful, because, I mean, even back to Edison, he failed 1,000 times to make the light bulb, and how to make you feel. I just found 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb, right?
But he's got more patents than any human being ever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it was funny. Even Elon, when he's launching SpaceX, he planned failures. He knew he was going to blow up rockets.
Yeah.
When NASA doesn't want to blow up one rocket, I'm going to blow up at least 4 rockets. Because we planned for the failure. It's going to happen. That's good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Michael.
Sure.
I told you, James, he was going to be an interesting guest.
You were not wrong. It's fascinating. I love hanging around smart people, like we always said. So, Michael, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
ACdirect.com.
ACdirect.com, correct.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I appreciate it. We'd like to thank you for listening to the Hole in the Wall Business Podcast with Bill and James. We'd love for you to join our Facebook group and keep the conversation going. If you'd like to learn more about us and our business, check us out at holeinthewall.com. If you'd like to learn more about how to start a Hole in the Wall franchise, go to holeinthewallfranchising.com.